And so, okay, so what do you think is going to happen in the fall?
Massive famines. And, I went to Sri Lanka 4, 5, 6 years ago to have a look-see. I'm often just going and looking and checking the police and the food supply. And there was plenty of food. Sri Lanka had so much food. It was just like cheap and plentiful, right? And then the next thing you know, here we go. Now, famine.
It was doing well.
Yeah, one thing about famine. Famine creates famine in the same way that war creates war and fire creates fire. Famine creates famine. So when we go into these initial phases of famine, you'll see immediately, obviously, price controls will start to be enforced. This happens every time. It's happening right now in Panama in the last 48 hours, right? Price controls on gasoline and some other things.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
A lot of violence now in Panama. In fact, just minutes before you and I came on, I was talking with a friend in Panama about the current situation. That's how close I keep tabs on Panama, and for various reasons. One is the Panama Canal, and so another thing is for instance, when people are hungry, as you know, within 48 hours, they're going to hit the streets, right? And they'll start robbing the stores. They'll start robbing the trucks and the trains and the boats. And so then supplies stop going. Governments always start taking food from the farmers. They, without exception, in my study over the years, the governments always go for the farmers. And like in Egypt recently, forcing the Egyptian farmers to sell to only approved warehouses, that sort of thing. So people start robbing from the farmers as well, right? And then the farmers say, "Hey, I'm either bankrupt or I'm not making any money," and so the farmers stop farming. So that's how you see we get into the second season of this, right? And so the famine creates more famine, just like fire creates fire. And then famine, let's say you have 20 million people that are hungry in Sri Lanka. And as their nutritional, resources diminish, so too does their physical resilience. And now they're open to disease. Many of the people that die in famines actually die from things like, they call them famine fevers. One of those is typhus. Another is relapsing fevers. Cholera, which is not a famine fever, waterborne, of course, fecal. Anyway, the bottom line is many of the people, if not most, who die during famines are actually from disease. And then this causes that human osmotic pressure, and these sorts of things often lead to more war, right? So it's a recursive sort of, the factors just keep, it's almost a fission reaction, right? And it reaches a critical mass and it's out of control.
Positive feedback loop. Yeah. Runaway, Pareto distribution problem, runaway catastrophe. Yeah, I get it. Positive feedback loops emerging everywhere. And why do you think, what are the factors that are driving the reemergence of the famine? You said there's a lot of instability in Central America, and so we're going to keep an eye out there. Obviously, Sri Lanka has collapsed entirely, and there's absolutely no doubt whatsoever that a major part of the reason that Sri Lanka collapsed is because the globalist utopians gathered the reins of government in Sri Lanka, because it was actually developing at quite a rate. And as you said, it had a lot of food and not a bad general income level just a few years ago. So this wasn't a catastrophic country to begin with. It was a country on the move upward, and it was completely scuttled by these globalist plans. And so what's contributing to the developing famine right now and where do you think it's going to be most intense?
Where will it be the most intense? That's something I think about every single day. One of the things I've learned in wars and in the study of war is whatever you think will probably turn out to be wrong.
Yeah.
You know this. I watch so many of your programs. The systems that emerge will present themselves in due course, right? What we can see is when I talk with Laura Logan, the famous correspondent, she'll say, they've been talking about, 1.2, they meaning World Economic Forum, have been talking about 1.2 billion people forced to migrate. They've been talking about that for years, and it's true.
Yeah, and they're going to blame it. They're bloody well going to blame it on climate change. You watch. That's what they're going to do.
Absolutely.
You bet.